Hello all and welcome, and I am the MGTOW philosopher. And in this episode, I would like to discuss yet another feminist piece of crap, cultural Marxist, communist article written by a male feminist, man-hating, self-hating, internalized, misandry, man-hating idiot fool by the name of a Jordan Stevens. What a pinhead this guy is. Toxic masculinity is everywhere. It's up to us men to fix this. So, yet again, men are the problem in society. There's no such thing as toxic femininity, and if there is, it doesn't affect the outer world. It just affects a girl, a woman's inner world and how she feels about herself. But masculinity, it affects the world outwardly and it destroys lives. No, feminism and femininity doesn't do that. I admit I've abused my power in the past. What power? So blanket statement right there. He doesn't give a specific example because I guarantee you if he gave some specific example, I could tear it apart and wreck him. Wreck his ass. He's full of it. What power? You're a black man. Aren't you one of the, oppressed minorities? Aren't you, on that victimhood hierarchy thing near the top? I mean, of course, black is not the worst. You'd have to be gay and Muslim as well. But black is pretty high up there. Oh, but you're a man, so that immediately puts you down lower on the victimhood scale. I see. So you've had power, that male privilege in the past because you're a man. Only by confronting our privilege and opening up our emotions will we live a more... Opening up your emotions, well, that's woman talk. Are you a woman, Jordan? You look like you might be a woman. I don't know. I see a lot of facial hair. Yeah, nose ring. It's hard to tell these days. You sound like you want to be a woman, that's for sure. Jordan Stevens is one half of hip-hop duo Rizzle Kicks. That's a horrible name. You couldn't think of anything better? He says in the caption of this picture, I've been fortunate to experience most financial brackets. You've been fortunate to experience most except the most poor. And I promise you that nothing material brings happiness. Right. That's what somebody who has never been truly poor says. Okay? If you've been truly poor and experienced real poverty, which you have not, yeah, you're privileged, pal, but you're not privileged. You're not privileged because you're black. Blacks are a minority, and the majority of them are poor. So how are you privileged? What privilege have you had? You were privileged because you had some parents that made good choices and they could afford to send you to a liberal school that cooked your brain and turned you into a zombie, okay? And anybody that says something like material goods don't bring happiness is a fucking communist. You're a communist, motherfucker, and you've never experienced true poverty. Because if you did, you know that absolutely material things do bring happiness, you moron. This stuff annoys me. This brain-dead kid. What's with this toxic masculinity BS? How is masculinity toxic? What are you talking about? Masculinity are just traits that are going to be more likely to be found in men, but they'll show up in women too. You know, competitiveness and ambitiousness and having drive and what? Jesus, you gonna label those things as toxic? Yeah, he probably does. Oh, capitalism is evil. That's a byproduct of patriarchy and toxic masculinity. Yeah, communist moron. So let's see what this dopey kid has to say about how he's been so privileged in life and he's used his privilege. No, you've been privileged because you have parents that obviously made good choices and have good jobs, and that's why. Not because you're a man, you dummy. The past 2 weeks have reminded us of the extent to which women suffer at the hands of the patriarchy. What is he? He's talking about that Harvey Weinstein bullshit. You know that. That's one guy in Hollywood, a billionaire, and I guarantee you he ain't the only one. And I guarantee you there's plenty of women out there, too, who have used their positions of power and authority to get sex from men, too. The only difference is the men don't whine and complain like big babies like these women do. And there has yet to be any evidence of rape. There's no evidence. If there was any evidence of rape, this guy would be in shackles by now. He didn't rape anybody. That's just a bunch of feminists, as usual, speculating and making shit up because that's what feminists do best. They lie and make shit up. He touched my ass. He raped me. He looked at me sideways. He raped me. I mean, come on. and his Harvey Weinstein bullshit. Let's be honest here. Has anybody seen this guy? He looks worse than Shrek, okay? I've seen better looking trolls than this fucking guy. He is one of the ugliest guys I ever seen. He's like a -1, if that's possible. I think a -1 would be like a dead guy who's been decomposing for about a week. That's this Harvey Weinstein motherfucker. That is one ugly fucking guy. But he's worth a lot of money. He's worth a lot of money. He's worth a lot of money. And he's probably worth a lot of money because he's so ugly. Because he knew that there was no way he was going to get pussy unless he got money. And now he's got money and he's able to get pussy. Oh, but that's so evil. He exchanged jobs for pussy. Ooh, he's so evil. What are you talking about? Women marry guys all the time to get money in exchange for their pussy. This is such bullshit. Ladies complaining about easy jobs for 3 months that pay $20 million. Get the fuck out of here. Patriarchy. Yeah, these women make $20 million. What are you talking about, patriarchy? They had to suck some guy's cock or get fucked in the ass. They didn't get fucked in the ass, I'm sure. They just got fucked in the vagina. They just had straight meat and potato sex, and they made $20 million. And you're telling me that's some kind of oppression? You stupid kid, you. As women share their stories and many nod along, what about us men? What about us? What are you talking about? It's not my problem. I don't sexually assault women. I don't use positions of power to get poontang. Of course, I'm not a big, fat, ugly troll like Harvey Weinstein, so I don't necessarily need to coerce women with money. But, I mean, if he's a fat, ugly troll, what other choice does he have? I mean, honestly, you could blame it as much on the women as you could him because they're the ones that have created the system that allows women, in fact, encourages women to exchange poon for money. Women have created that system. Women have created that scenario. Women have encouraged that throughout human history. And now you're somehow saying that's men's fault? You pinhead. It's women who have made their poon into something that is used for barter. You moron. How's that my fault? What a dumb kid. He's so dumb. He even looks stupid. Look at his picture. Look at him. You know there's not a neuron in that brain firing at full speed. Not even close. What about us men? Yeah, what about us men, pinhead? Any man who has read a woman's account of harassment or assault and thought, that doesn't apply to me. Well, that's me, pinhead, because I've never assaulted or harassed. Well, I don't know what harass means. I mean, I'm sure there's a lot of social justice warrior pinheads out there who would consider harassment to be looking at you, but that's not really harassment. And thought, that doesn't apply to me. What you're experiencing in that moment is the exact privilege. No. How is it privilege not to have assaulted a woman? What are you talking about? It means I make the right life choices, you idiot. What a stupid idiot. Can you explain how that equates to privilege? No, of course he can't. Because he is just giving talking points. He's not using his brain. Power and entitlement that women are finding space to battle against. What do you mean battle against? Dude, women have no oppression. They are the oppressors. In fact, they have so little that they have to deal with in life, so few obstacles that they create obstacles like mansplaining, man-spreading, all this bullshit. A man is explaining something to me. He's talking to me, and he's explaining to me. Call the police. Help me. Help me. I mean, give me a fucking break. We have subconsciously benefited since we were born. What are you talking about subconscious? Is this that implicit bias or this unconscious bias bullshit? Oh, what do you mean unconscious? Wait. What do you mean by unconscious? So subconsciously benefit. No. You're using the wrong wording, you idiot. It would be, this guy's so stupid. Subconsciously benefited. Wait, he didn't even know how to speak. You're saying that we've benefited in our subconscious? No, we've benefited in the objective world, you idiot, not subconsciously. This guy is a fucking moron. He can't even use leftist speak correctly. Or maybe that is correct, leftist speak. I mean, everything is a subjective and internalized with these idiots since we were born from patriarchal privilege. Patriarchal privilege? Hey, Pinhead! Why don't you name me one advantage, one privilege that I have as a man that a woman doesn't? I get to go to war and die if there's a major world war and I get drafted and she doesn't. I have like a 97% greater chance of dying on the job than she does. I like something like 97% of workplace deaths are men. 87% of suicides are men. I'm going to die 7 years before her. She's twice as likely to get the same job if she applies for the same job as me and has the same experience and education. She's going to get the job, not me. Huh. She makes more money than me. Women 18 to 30 without kids make more money. In fact, women who have been in a job as long as a man, consecutively speaking, without any breaks in her career, make more money. What? 148 of America's 150 largest cities. Women make more money. What are you talking about? What privilege? If I get convicted of a crime, I'm going to get 3-4 times the amount of jail time than a woman who committed the same crime. What are you talking about? Privilege. Show me the privilege. You can't just say the word privilege and just not explain it. Okay? You have to give specific examples, speaking in these grand, universal, general terms so that you don't have to explain yourself. It's all very well and good for you. It's very convenient for you. It allows you to spread this false narrative. But you're stupid, not to mention being intellectually dishonest here. You are not, this pisses me off. You are not presenting any arguments, any facts, any specific examples. You're just saying, well, man equals patriarchy equals privilege. It's just talking points. Ay. He continues to say, in many ways, it's invisible to us. Yeah, to tell you something, you idiot. It's invisible because it doesn't exist. You pinhead, you. Yeah, things we can't see and feel. We don't see and feel them because they don't exist. That pink unicorn that I might think I see, well, I'm just insane. There's a reason only I see it, because I'm fucking nuts. Okay? And it doesn't exist. Invisible. That should tell you something, dummy. I've been outspoken in my support of women's rights. I know you have. You're a cuck, wimp, simp, raised by a single mommy, and you've been taught to identify with women, not men. You have no male traits because you didn't have a male role model growing up, and you hate yourself. I get it, pal, but I'm not afraid to admit that I've fallen afoul of the patriarchy's malicious hardwiring. Right, even though you had no father, the supposed patriarchy that doesn't exist, because if it did, society would be designed to serve men's needs, not women's. Oh, you never thought about that, didn't you, idiot? But in confronting it, rather than continuing to abuse my power, what power? You see, he speaks in these grand terms, but he doesn't go into specifics. If you just ask him what power, he can't give you an answer. What implicit bias? What unconscious bias do we have? What malicious hardwiring did the so-called patriarchy instill in you? If there's a patriarchy, can you explain to me the benefits that it gives to men which would exist in a patriarchy? He'd be like staring off into space, trying to think of something. But he can't think of anything because he can't think. But in confronting it, rather than continuing to abuse my power, I found more inner peace, understanding, love, and truth. Indoctrination. Indoctrination. Love and truth than I ever could have done had I continued as I was. This is woman talk. This is this subjectivism bullshit. What are you talking about? He goes on to say, I've been fortunate to experience most financial brackets except extremely poor. What financial brackets have you experienced? Middle class, upper middle class, rich. Where's the poor? Where's the so poor you're eating cat food? Where's that? Have you experienced that? Have you been homeless? Have you been homeless? What have you experienced exactly? Have you experienced a financial bracket of nothing? You idiot. Yeah, you're privileged, all right, but not because you're a man, because you have parents that make good decisions. And I promise you that nothing material brings happiness. Bullshit. Bullshit, buddy. I guarantee you it does. And you know who can say that? Somebody who's never been without material things. That's the person who can say that. No house, watch, car, phone, television, necklace brings peace. What are you talking? Why is he even saying this? What does this have to do with anything? What does this have to do with toxic masculinity? What, because men are competitive, men are ambitious, men have drive to achieve, to attain material goods? Is that why he's saying all this? Because he associates all this with men, with patriarchy, with capitalism? Notice how they're all connected to some kind of economic model. Yeah, that's because this is all cultural Marxism. And they're trying to backdoor economic Marxism by introducing economic models into traits that are associated with masculinity. So they're trying to shoehorn in Marxism to affect economic change by associating certain economic models with masculinity. And therefore, cultural Marxism is now trying to be used to shoehorn in Marxism into economic models. Very interesting. Oh, you think I wouldn't see that? You pinhead, you. Well, I know you don't see it. He continues to say, those tangible things just allow me to feel more comfortable. Yeah. You ever been out in the cold? You ever been out in the cold when it's fucking freezing in a tent? How do you like that, buddy? Do you like that a lot? No, you don't like that, do you? And I bet if you were in a house, you spend 1 month in a tent and then you go to a house, you'd be very fucking happy, wouldn't you? Yeah, you're an entitled little spoiled brat. That's all you are. I'm not saying don't slob in front of the television or don't go out and take drugs. I won't condemn anyone who makes such choices. Of course not. Because you're a liberal, libertarian, brain dead, with your brain is infected by the zombie virus that is liberalism. So, of course, you're not going to condemn people for going out and destroying themselves. No. What I'm saying is that we often partake in these activities when we'd rather not confront our emotions. Oh, God. Oh, pal, you're an idiot. You sound like a woman. And it's not okay when the desire for these things comes at the expense of other people's safety or freedom. Okay, I'll agree with that. What's your point? He's just rambling inanely. He's not making points. The abuse of power is a plaster for sadness and prevents self-compassion. What does that have to do? What does an abuse of power have to do with your prior sentence about something being at the expense of other people's freedoms, at the expense of people doing drugs and harming themselves only? What is this train of thought here? What the fuck? Oh, that paragraph just made no sense unless it's leading to something, which it doesn't seem to be. You're some intelligent kid. You ain't making any sense. I was raised predominantly, but you should have just skipped that whole prior paragraph because it didn't tie anything together. It was just a totally muddying the waters, a total obfuscation. It didn't make any sense. Very confusing paragraph. Just cross that out, you moron. Just inane rambling of a dumb kid spouting talking points. What a pinhead. I was raised predominantly by a strong mother. Oh, obviously. And she taught you that women are better than men and you should hate yourself. And I'd like to think that I journey into the world with good intent. What does that mean? Okay, good for you. I want to love, spread joy, help people, and inspire. What does that mean? What does that mean? Yeah, I want to eat cake all day. I want to eat cake all day, but I can't because I would die within a year. What the fuck do I care what you want to do? What are you telling me these for? You trying to set yourself up as some kind of a fucking hero, some kind of fucking saint? What do I give a shit what you want to do? But I still found myself in pockets of self-destruction. Extended periods of time taking cocaine, excessive drinking, of course, well, that's why you don't condemn these activities, because you've essentially succumbed to them yourself. Excessive working habits, starting numerous projects at once, reading so many books that I feel self-righteous. Wait, but you don't now? You're one of the most self-righteous sounding motherfuckers I've ever heard, you little punk. You're a little 20-year-old punk. He's in his 20s. Hey, takes he knows something. You're a dummy. You're a dummy, boy. Finding that whenever I entered into intimate relationships, I would end up selfishly self-destructing. Why are you telling me this? Oh, I see. He's trying to do a setup to basically highlight the point that all of these destructive activities are due to masculinity, toxic masculinity that he sometimes let creep in when he wasn't paying attention and looking inwardly and paying attention to his selfish side and his emotions and being sure to check that evil masculinity that's destroying the world. No, it's not femininity that's destroying it. Oh, no. That self-destruction led to a breakdown of trust in people I cared for and in myself. Nonsense talk. I had been wounded by the patriot. What are you talking about? There's no patriarchy. It doesn't exist. If it existed, there would be something there to benefit men. There's no benefits for men, you idiot. By the patriarchy, thinking even for 1 second that this behavior was acceptable. So all that behavior was had something to do with with masculinity, right? All that behavior was associated with masculinity. So where does the behavior come from in women who are alcoholics and drug addicts and self-destructive people? Does that come from femininity? Oh, that comes from the patriarchy as well, because it's oppressed them and it's driven them to those actions. Gee, so when is a woman actually responsible for her own actions? And when are any of these actions ever the fault of toxic femininity? Oh, there's no such thing as toxic femininity. Toxic femininity doesn't hurt women outwardly. It just hurts them inwardly. It has no effect on the world. Oh, I see. How convenient for you, pussy boy. And he goes on with the usual feminist tropes of a guy. You know, this is like one of these people who is like a creationist whack job that believes man walked with fucking dinosaurs, and, you know, that the Noah's Ark was a real thing, and that they were like two of every species on Earth. And this is like one of those people who believes this so fervently they go into science and get a PhD in some kind of scientific area just so they can add validity to their kooky beliefs. Well, look at me, I'm a scientist, and I believe that man walked with dinosaurs, and I have validity to that argument because I'm a scientist. Well, it's the same thing. Feminists love to corrupt these young men and turn them into feminists, and it's a man, and he's saying these things. Ooh, so our words have much more validity. Yeah, I've seen this act so many times before. He goes on to say, if you're one of these guys who takes pride in jumping from girl to girl or brags about breaking hearts, you have no idea what it feels like to truly love and trust someone. Well, why don't you tell me, pussy boy? Why don't you tell me what it really feels like, since romantic love is bullshit, okay? It's just a yarn that's been spun. It's not real. And knowing how I feel now, I'm sad and that structural abuse. What does that mean? That doesn't mean anything. There's all these little code words that he's been taught. And it's all this little indoctrination that he went through. And it's all ideologically grounded. And he's got all these little talking points in his head, and he uses structural abuse. And if you asked him to explain structural abuse, there would be an immediate association to a correct response in his head, that it would be just like flipping through a mental Rolodex, and then he would quote the response. And these people have all these kind of little different mental note cards in their head connected to specific buzzwords that they can give you responses. But don't ask them to think for themselves, because they can't. I'm sad. The structural abuse might prevent acceptance and understanding. I don't know what that means. I don't, you're talking nonsense. I've recently confronted and processed my own childhood trauma. What do you mean childhood trauma? You were raised by a woman. You were raised by a strong woman. You love women. Women are perfect. Women are the ideal, and you hate masculinity. So your childhood, you shouldn't have had any trauma. You should have had the best goddamn childhood in the world. Oh, you had childhood trauma? Was it associated with your saint mother, you idiot, that you seem to fucking worship? You moron, as you lambaste masculinity, but you say that you had childhood trauma? Connected to your mother? But I thought femininity wasn't toxic, pal. My own childhood trauma to understand what it was inside me that would unconsciously destroy a desire for trust and intimacy. It couldn't have been the reality of what women are. Couldn't have been that was destroying your desire for trust and intimacy. Oh no, it was your evil masculinity. That's what's destroying relationships. You blame that on men. Don't blame it on women and their hypergamy and their need to have the top 20% of men. And the fact that women always want a man that makes more. Now that women are making more than men, they won't settle for a man who makes as much of them or less than them. So they're limiting their options, and therefore they can't find a man, even though there's plenty of men out there, but they have deemed them all unworthy. It can't be that. Oh, no. I've come to realize that it's because I'm more terrified of rejection. You're a woman. Of course. You were raised to be a woman. You're a pussy boy. You didn't learn anything from your daddy. You didn't learn how to take rejection. You didn't learn how to ask women out or be a real man or have strength. So you're so weak and sensitive. So you're so easily hurt. Of course you're terrified of rejection. All women are. And having my trust broken than I ever could have previously. Wait a second. I thought that the problem was you and masculinity. If a woman broke your trust, well, then that's the woman's fault. But how is the man to blame for that? Oh, he's to blame for that too. It's all patriarchy. Oh, okay. I see. You can't blame women for anything. I desire trust and intimacy. That's your mistake, pinhead. You're trying to find your validation in life and your fulfillment through another person. You need to get that from yourself, okay? You would think that a hippie like yourself would understand such concepts as that, but I guess not. Just as much and perhaps even more intensely than those I've shared love with. It's because you're a pussy boy. That's why. It's been an incredibly painful realization. Oh, my God. He's miserable. You can tell this guy is a miserable wreck. I believe that the false power gifted to me as a man. What? Why don't you tell me what that power is? Oh, institutional, structural bias, something. I mean, he can't tell you anything except all these buzzwords and talking points. If you ask for any actual specific privilege or power, he won't be able to name it. I believe that the false power gifted to me as a man in our society didn't allow me the space to understand, cry, and work through the pain of my past and duality of my present. What? Duality? Oh, I see, because you embrace your feminine side and you try to essentially sublimate and ignore your masculine side and destroy it, or at least keep it under control, like a Vulcan. Yeah, Vulcans. Oh, God. Vulcans. You ever notice how those Vulcans, I'm not going to get into that, but they seem to me like the representation of what a feminist sees as a man actually being, that they're this nasty, these people who are, if their emotions are let out of, they're just nasty, and they're violent, and they can be out of control, and they have to really tamp down on those emotions and control them, or they'll do horrible things. Yeah. That sounds more like a woman to me than a man. He goes on to say this idea that male vulnerability is undesirable. What does that mean? What do you mean by male vulnerability? You do understand that men and women are different, right? That men are less emotional than women for a biological purpose, not for some kind of social construction. It's not a social construction. Where do you think the social? Why do you even think there would be a difference in social construction between men and women? This theory of social constructionism is bullshit. Because what would the purpose be of making men less feeling? Okay, why would that social construct be created? You idiot! Could it be? What's the purpose of that? If it's bad, why is it there, you idiot? Did you ever stop to think that? Did you ever stop to think, why does this exist in the first place? Oh, no, you just said, oh, it's bad. I don't know why it's bad, but somebody told me it's bad, so it must be bad because I'm a fucking moron, and I can't critically think through anything that people tell me to objectively judge whether or not it's good or bad. Idiot. Yeah, men were running around with fucking spears and fighting saber-toothed tigers and 20,000-pound woolly mammoths, and they have to control their emotions. But oh no, pussy boys like you would have them weeping and crying and getting stepped on. Goes on to say, it covers up the pain of so many troubled boys. You know what causes pain in boys? A system that is systematically biased against boys, ignores boys, favors women, and essentially is against and biased towards male masculine traits. That's what causes boys to have troubles, you idiot. Not masculinity. It's the left's and women's and feminism's attack on masculinity, especially in young boys. You are a perfect example. You're a victim of feminism, and you don't even see it. You know, this guy reminds me of somebody who has like Stockholm syndrome, like that Patty Hearst chick. Like after long enough time in captivity and enough exposure to their indoctrination and their mind control, little brainwashing and manipulation games. That's what he reminds me of. This kid grew up with a strong mother who was clearly a feminist, hated men, as is typical with a single mother. And so he's got a form of Stockholm syndrome. That's really what I believe that many a young male feminist today was raised by a single mother. A strain of Stockholm syndrome that is specific to being raised by a man-hating feminist. He's kept in captivity in a way with this horrible mother, because where else can he go? I mean, kids are captives of their parents in a very loose, soft way. And he's constantly exposed to this man-hating ideology again and again and again, and eventually becomes indoctrinated into it. And then he becomes an adherent of that very ideological system that hates him as a man. And he champions it. Even though it's counter to his existence. It's against his existence. It's a man-hating ideology. So yeah, some kind of Stockholm syndrome going on there, a certain type. That's what I believe. So it goes on to say, so many troubled boys who wanted more hugs from their mom or have missed the company of their dad. You needed the company of a man, pal, for sure. Or were victims of abuse or loneliness. Like you? But I thought you had a perfect, wonderful, feminine mommy. I thought it was masculinity that was toxic. Oh, the patriarchy made her that way. The patriarchy made her that way because she used to have a man and then he fucked her over. And it's his fault. She turned into this bitter hag that abused you. Ha ha, I see. Interesting. Goes on to say, or loneliness, or just generally felt as though they had no time, space, company, or even the words to describe how they felt. And that's important to you? You're really focused a lot on your emotions, pal. Why don't you try focusing on your thoughts a little more, and you might come to realize that all the shit you believe is just that. Shit! Total bullshit. Of course, indoctrinated systems like the left, they want to be focused on solipsism, subjectivity, because they cannot focus on objectivity, logic, reason, critical thinking. Then you'd figure out pretty quick that this is a bunch of horse shit. It's nonsense. So they want you to be grounded in emotion. It serves their purposes. Almost done with this crap, thank God. It's our responsibility to become adults to acknowledge this pain and gain compassion for ourselves. Well, what does that mean? What do you mean compassion for ourselves? That doesn't make sense. Compassion, I mean, we're supposed to feel empathy and pain. We're supposed to, empathize with others and want to help others. Well, yeah, I want to help myself. Of course. As for others, well, I don't feel compassion for people who are in bad positions because of their own bad choices. Go fuck themselves. I only feel compassion for people who end up in a bad position because, life. Something bad happened to them. But what does that mean anyway? All this stuff he's talking about is very nebulous and doesn't apply to any specific situations. But for men in particular, when the patriarchy says it's okay to grab a woman's ass, when did anybody, wait. What is he talking about? I wasn't aware there was a patriarchy out there with some presidents and some people sitting on a council passing rules about what it's okay to do and not to do. Could somebody tell me where the patriarchy is, where the patriarchy's main headquarters is so I can go there? I want to give them my 2 cents about what a bad job they're doing. Because if there's a patriarchy out there that has like an actual system involved where you elect people and they're like the leaders of the patriarchy, I would like to essentially cut their balls off and feed them to them because these motherfuckers are doing a really shitty job. Goes on to say, or tell her what to do, as opposed to her telling me what to do. So it's okay for a woman to tell a man what to do? Patriarchy. But it's not okay for a man to tell a woman what to do, even if she works for him. Patriarchy. Yeah, that's patriarchy. Okay. Or watch too much porn. Whoa, what? What, now porn is bad? Oh, so porn is part of toxic masculinity and it's part of patriarchy, even though porn actresses make like 4 times more than the men. Geez, I don't know. And the women are entering into that via their own choice and because they either didn't have the foresight to get a good education or they made bad life choices and they had no other options. See, that sounds like their choice to get into porn. Doesn't seem like any man pushed them into it. Oh, well, patriarchy's everywhere, so it's influencing everything, and even if you don't see the direct correlation, it's there. Oh, that's a specious argument. Idiot. Ay. And you accept this as the way of treating another human being. You deny yourself the opportunity to understand why you desired that comfort, power in the first place. The ego wants dominance and control, and the male ego is currently everywhere. This is why you don't teach morons about psychology, okay? Or Freud or any of that, because they're too this is classic leftism. The Frankfurt School took Freud and used it to manipulate people, included a whole bunch of Freud's Freudian theories and Freudian psychology into leftism. This is all Freud bullshit, okay? This is all Frankfurt School bullshit. It's easy to spot if you know what to look for. As far as I can see, the toxic notion of masculinity is championed by men. Bitch, I'm a man. I'm going to champion men. I'm not a pussy like you who has been essentially indoctrinated and is suffering from a form of soft feminist Stockholm syndrome who is championing women when he's a man. No, I'm not a pussy like you. I'm not a weak-minded simp who are so terrified of confronting any trauma experienced as children that they choose to project that torture on the lives of others rather than themselves. What the hell are you talking about? You want to talk about generalizing? You just painted half the world with a fucking single-colored brush, you idiot. What's he talking about? What? I don't have any childhood trauma that I haven't dealt with. I'm an old guy, and I've dealt with any childhood trauma, any life trauma that I've had, and I know how to deal with trauma if I experience it, you idiot. I'm not some pussy. I know how to deal with problems when they crop up. I don't fall back on tired talking points and non-thinking like you and hide behind old, tired feminist tropes and dogma so that I can hide from reality. What's even more upsetting is that often when men allow themselves to feel this pain, it's so new to them they kill themselves. He's just spouting off theories here. He has no evidence or proof of anything. He's trying to create correlations between things that have no correlation, all right? You want to know the biggest reason why men kill themselves? Women and femininity, not masculinity. Oh, but what he's saying is that, oh, women do all these horrible things to men, but then it's their masculine natures that stop them from being able to deal with the problem and process the feelings, so they kill themselves. So it's their fault. It's not the woman's fault who took their kids, all their money, their house, and left them penniless. Oh, no, it's not her fault. He goes on to say, we live in a society where men feel safer killing themselves than acknowledging pain. No, it's not about acknowledging or not acknowledging pain. Their lives have been made so miserable, you idiot. And the women, by the way, would have killed themselves long before if they had to deal with this misery. But the system is actually set up to favor women, you idiot. And that if the system were reversed, you'd have a hell of a lot more women killing themselves than men, because women are weaklings and pussies, even though you like to try and paint them as these strong creatures. If they're so strong, why are they creating all of these protections within the law to protect them from other people's words and other people's looks and other people's catcalls and other people's hateful speech and other people's pronouns? Yeah, they're so strong, they can't handle words. Yeah, okay. He goes on to say, accepting the patriarchy from a place of false benefit will prevent you from ever truly loving yourself, understanding others. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to cry. Maybe if my leg gets chopped off. Maybe if a meteor hits me in the fucking head. Maybe then I'll cry, pal. It's okay to have loved your mom and dad growing up. What is he talking about? What is this guy talking about? He doesn't even know anything about men. This guy doesn't know what it means to be a real man. I suggest, pal, you watch my video entitled, What It Means to Be a Man. How to be a man, because you are not a man. You don't know what a real man is like, so you have no context from which to draw on. So all you have are these tired feminist tropes that you've been told by fat, ugly, man-hating feminists, and you accept them as fact. It's okay to take a moment when you were reminded of these truths, when you allow your brain to access these emotions. My brain is for computations, pinhead. It's not for emotions. I don't let my emotions control me. If I feel things, it's because I choose to feel them, not because they just evoke and they take me over. I'm not a fucking weakling that is controlled by my emotions. I control my emotions. When you allow your brain to access these emotions, it knows exactly what to do. So nurture yourself. What? What do you mean nurture myself? What does that mean? Eat some Haagen-Dazs? Get a foot rub? What the fuck does that mean, nurture myself? This guy is more woman than man. I mean, Jesus Christ, somebody needs to turn him over and look to see if he's got a cock and balls or not. Talk honestly to the people around you and welcome the notion of understanding them more than you have ever done before. See, this whole article is like a study in reverse psychology. It's saying everything that he believes is bad about men, and but he's not doing that. He's presenting the opposite. He's presenting everything that you need to do as a man because the opposite is true. Do this because by implication, the opposite is what masculinity is about. Masculinity is toxic, don't you know? So you need to do the opposite of what is so horrible. He thinks that's clever. You're not clever, pal. You're a joke. You're pathetic, suffering from a soft form of feminist Stockholm syndrome. And there he is, nothing more than a pussy mama's boy. So this, guys, is a perfect example of the male feminist social justice warrior that you will see in today's society. 20-something, young 20-something, totally indoctrinated into the left's ideology of oppression and cultural Marxism. He is 100% cooked into this shit. You will never convince him otherwise. He's an ideologue. You could send him to a re-education camp for a year and he would still be a cult member of the left. Look at this article. Study my words closely. You will be able to spot these people much easier. That's all I have to say about this guy and his tired list of tropes and nonsense. Please like and subscribe. Check out my Patreon. You'll find a link in the description and also in the last 20 seconds of this video. I am the MGTOW philosopher, and I wish you a good day. Take care.